Welcome to Alchemy Uncensored, a podcast presented by Alchemy Search, a team of professional financial and tax recruiters. Our podcast is dedicated to providing valuable insights into the financial and tax sector of the UAE by discussing the challenges and opportunities faced by employers and job seekers. Alchemy Uncensored is the perfect podcast for those looking to gain a competitive edge in the finance, accounting and tax industry of the UAE. Stay informed on the latest job market trends, developments and conversations to stay ahead of the game. Tune into our podcast to be part of this insightful conversation. Hello, fellow alchemists. Thank you for listening to the podcast thus far. 2024, big year ahead. The one favor I would ask, if you can, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, is to press the follow and subscribe button on whatever media platform you listen to us, as it helps us grow our network and grow the podcast. So thank you and enjoy the podcast today.
Welcome to the Alchemy Uncensored podcast. Today we'll be discussing relocating to Dubai. In particular, will be the focus on what to prepare for when planning a move to the UAE, what to do when looking for a job in the UAE, and how to set up here in the UAE. Today, I am joined with our special guest, Caiman Mangan. Originally from Ireland, Caiman is a fully qualified chartered accountant and relocated to Dubai in August 23, and he's currently working as an accounting team lead with IFZA. Well, thank you for joining us, Caiman.
No problem at all.
How are you getting on?
Very good. Glad to be here. Had a great time.
Good. Settled into Dubai?
Yeah, getting there. Still getting used to it all, but sure, we're getting there eventually.
How's it been? 6 months now?
6 months, and it's been, I tell you, it's flown by, but there's also been some bad times in there, but hopefully great times to come as well.
So I suppose the best place to start is just give us a brief introduction about yourself, career history, currently team lead with IFZA. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So graduated from UL in 2018 and made the big move from up to Dublin. As you know, I'm originally from Kerry, so long way from home there. Started off with Grant Thornton. Now my accounting background is a bit different. I actually went into advisory, as you know, 99.9% of accountants start in audit. So I actually had a great time in advisory. Like, it's a lot different kind of work, but I suppose as I moved through it, obviously get through the accounting exams fine, but I knew I had to kind of get more, I suppose, the A to Z of accounting. That was exactly what was in my mind. So I actually moved on then to a company called Oracle. You might know them. Mm-hmm. Again, had a great time in there, but I suppose during my time there, I kind of got the itch to go to Dubai. So that was this was mid-COVID now, and I was seeing everyone over here. They were still enjoying it, and I was still sitting at home. I think it was around the time you actually moved over. And eventually I started putting the plans in place. I spoke to my girlfriend. We kind of had an idea. I wanted to go. She didn't want to go. Eventually I convinced her. We came out here on holidays, and here we are, and sitting here on a podcast with you. Brilliant.
That's a long change from COVID, and you're locked up at home.
I know, especially in fairness in Clarny now, it's great. Like, we have the parks and stuff, so plenty of places to walk. But like, it is like, work from home was great as well, but it's a big change from, I suppose, what life really was.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose then, why Dubai? Obviously, you have friends as well back home who are moving to Australia, maybe America, Vancouver. Why Dubai? Why UAE?
Yeah, so my sister worked here for about 8 years as a teacher. So I visited her for the first time in 2017. And honestly, immediately I fell in love with the place. I just thought completely different area to what I'd seen, like seeing all the boats, the buildings, just the weather. So I suppose that's when I got the first itch, and I always had it in the back of my head. It was between there and New York, I always had. And then I suppose as time went on, kind of mixing between the two, and then I saw how the finance sector was growing in Dubai, how a lot of companies are moving out here. And again, obviously the weather still attracted me. So eventually I just bit the bullet. I said, I'm going to go for it. And here I am.
We probably start to speak about a year, maybe coming up to a year. You reached out to me on LinkedIn saying you're looking to move over. So I suppose in the job hunting process, how did you find it? Was it what you were expecting? Was it a lot more difficult than just a case of clicking apply on a LinkedIn and doing a couple of interviews? How did you find the whole process of finding a job that was suitable for you?
It is very difficult. It's completely opposite at home. At home, anytime I went for a job, I'd have maybe 5 job offers from a recruiter every day, constantly offering me, do you want to we can interview you straight away? All different offers. Over here, I reached out to you in December 2022, I think it was. That was 6 to 8 months before I was planning on coming over. I actually reached out to Connor originally. He passed me to you. Oh. Then I tried to schedule a call with you, and Connor was like, sorry, he's actually going to be at his Christmas party that day, so he won't be in any shape. I was like, what kind of gang am I hanging out here? But eventually we jumped on the call. You explained it to me, and I suppose I was a lot more confident after I spoke to you. I had put my application into a few jobs just to see what the fields were. Nothing come back. And then you kind of were saying that, no, you will get a job. It's just as you get closer to time. Now, again, I would say that January to June time was a stressful time because we booked our tickets maybe in March, and like I was like, okay, we're going, and I was hearing nothing at all. Then another recruiter, in fairness, I suppose it shows you knowing people in Dubai. I had luckily just gone and contacted her. She was just starting off as a recruiter with her own company, and she had put me forward for an interview. Got to the second round. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get it, but it was a great experience because I knew exactly, okay, corporate tax was a massive part of that interview, and I had learned a good bit on UAE corporate tax, but not enough for that interview. So I knew any interview going forward, that would be the first thing I learned. So then as it got closer to the time, I suppose you were kind of putting it out there that I was getting close to moving as well, and companies saw that, so I definitely saw more messages coming in. I remember the time zone being so funny. I'd be sound asleep, and every morning I'd wake up for the message from a recruiter, and it was just such a different, obviously the time zones are so different that it was great wake up to a message saying, oh, I think I have a potential job for you. But yeah, all I can say is it's a completely different process here. It's nothing like back home.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose then, obviously, landing in Dubai, never been to the UAE, really working here. How would you find, the culture difference, all the changes from working obviously in Dublin, maybe in Dubai? Is there a massive difference, or how would you find it?
Yeah, so I suppose I'm lucky kind of where I've ended up. There's a lot of Europeans in there, and there's Irish in there. So of course I'm obviously gravitating towards the Irish, hanging out with them a lot. But I suppose I'm lucky in that way. There's it's a very European culture in there. I didn't find it difficult settling in. I suppose I put my mark on the job straight away. I suppose I'm in a kind of leadership role, so I get to leave my mark on my team. So it's not difficult. I can understand how it might be difficult for some people, some of the jobs they go into, but absolutely where I am at the moment, very happy, and it is a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And I know yourself now, so people back home in Ireland or in the UK, I know you're telling me yourself, you're getting a few messages from accountants saying, how would you find a job here, etc. What would be the one piece of advice you would give someone who's similar to yourself back in Ireland, wants to move here? What would the one piece of advice you'd give someone?
Absolutely hound your recruiter. Don't give him a break. Honestly, it sounds stupid, but I just hound them. I got in contact with you in December, and I didn't hear from you for a good while. And I think in May, I messaged you on a Saturday and said, Graham, can we jump on a call? I think I said it a bit more bluntly than that. And in fairness, you jumped on the call, and I think I literally put it out there saying to you exactly my situation, and that may have been the one where you were like, actually, this guy is genuine, he really wants a job. And again, I was wrecking recruiters' head, and you even said to me, and I remember when the first time I met Lewis and Jeff, they were all saying, you're the most talked about person in the job, and I'd never even met any of you, and some of my name. So if you can just hound them, literally annoy the recruiter to the fact they're like, I want to give this person a job, just get them off my phone. That's all I can actually say. And then I suppose on professional side, corporate tax and VAT. If you can become a specialist in UAE corporate tax VAT, everyone will want you. Of course, you need IFRS standards, but corporate tax is huge this year. VAT came out in 2018. Companies don't know anything about it. That's what we deal with a lot. So if you can become a real professional at them, you have a good chance.
Yeah, 100%. My LinkedIn now is going to be flooded with messages. Yeah. My WhatsApp is not going to stop going. So thanks for that, Caiman. Appreciate that. Perfect. And I suppose obviously one of the drawing factors for here, as you said, is the lifestyle and, things to do in the weekend. So what would your typical weekend consist of?
So of course, you know me, I love getting a gym lift in the morning. Then obviously we have our paddle sessions on a Saturday. Then I suppose for me, it really is just going to the beach, going to a pool day, and really soaking in that sun. I know, me and my girlfriend, we talked a lot about doing some traveling. So when there's a lot more days off, we'll start doing day trips. Maybe we want to go to see Abu Dhabi. We're going to Fujairah next week. It's just there's so much to do here, and it's actually, you feel like you don't have the time to do it, but that's why I went out and got a car straight away, because I wanted to be able to travel around, have that freedom. So there's so much to do here. You can't ever complain on a weekend. I always say, the weekends feel like a holiday every time.
Exactly. And I suppose one thing to say there is you obviously got a car and set up here when you arrived here. In terms of the teething process, I would call it, obviously when you move here, there's a lot of stuff you have to factor out. Obviously not living here before, it's a complete different reality than being on holidays. So how would you find the settling in process? So beside the job, and how would you find settling in, getting new routines, what would be the main advice you give someone when they're setting up?
Yeah, I would definitely say, we arrived a week early before I started the job, and I would definitely say, give yourself at least a week, because we couldn't move into our place until the Saturday before I started work, so we flew in the Sunday night the week prior, so we stayed in a hotel, but I couldn't really build a whole routine in the hotel because it was a completely different area. But it's just understanding, I suppose, like the big basics for me, knowing where I get my food shop, getting the car sorted, having an idea how to get to work. Those are the main things. Like everything else will figure itself out, but you don't want to be stressing in your first week. Like obviously then you have the time where you're setting up your bank account and stuff. Fortunately you need your MSID for that, but of course the job looks after that. But yeah, like it is a tough setting up, Mark, and like you need to have a good bit of savings behind you, like just to get that set up, because everything here is pay up front and it's like half the price. You don't really have a choice. You kind of are like, you're not going to pay double the price for a monthly payment. So that's a big change from back home.
Exactly. I suppose those are little catches when you come here, for example, you know, having 3 months rent up front. It's kind of those little factors you don't really think about before moving here. You think it's just a case of maybe an Airbnb for a month, trying to sort out a job, and then you realize the extra bits that you have to do in terms of setting up a bank account, finding a place, you know, that you're looking for. It's these little factors that I suppose is good to be aware of before moving out here. Right, so Caiman, you're currently team lead in IFZA. So tell us more about your role here, your day-to-day responsibilities, and what to expect, obviously, when you're working here in Dubai.
Yeah, so like obviously I was delighted when you got me that opportunity. It was actually a step up for me. So in my roles in Ireland, I was always a financial accountant, senior financial accountant, whereas this was now more stepping up, leading a team, which I obviously was nervous about at the start, but I read down through the role. I knew I could do everything for it, and especially in the interview I came across that way, because obviously I had, I suppose, even as a senior financial accountant, you're obviously managing trainee accountants at home. So over here, yeah, my role day to day is purely just kind of, I suppose, doing the accounts of organizational clients. So helping them out. Like we get a lot of queries, again, as I said earlier, about corporation tax and VAT. What do I need to do? How do I do it? So it's advising them exactly what needs to be done, how the UAE laws are going to affect them, and then helping them out with their accounts. Because unfortunately, all these UAE companies, they just do not have, I suppose, financial records weren't mandatory up to only recently. So nobody has a clue. You'd have people, you could talk to them and they say, I have no receipts for any of my sales, I get everything in cash. They're like, what do I do? So that's a big change from back home. At home it's very strict, it's all by the book, but here you'll see a completely different thing. But again, getting the opportunity to manage a team is a great experience for me in the next step in my career.
100%. And you say there, obviously, I'm not the tax expert. Obviously, even here in Alchemy, it's Ruzika and Pooja who are the tax queens. But around corporation tax and its effect, I suppose, here in terms of your role, I know from my understanding it's constantly changing day to day in terms of regulations, etc. How are you finding that? Obviously, learning it in Dubai, how are you finding these constant changes with the regulations?
Yeah, it's mad because like it's just the laws change so much. Like there's a lot of similarities in Ireland. Obviously, what you can deduct stuff. Obviously, there's some differences as well. So I'd obviously be well versed in that. But obviously, you've got like qualifying free zone persons, certain thresholds that need to be met. Like there's a lot of information where I can see where clients get confused, but I know a lot of people are panicking over the whole thing, but we've done the calculations, and when you really come down to it, it only ever works out around 2 or 3% of your sales that you're actually getting deducted. And there's so many exemptions that there's a great opportunity. It shouldn't really bother that many businesses.
Exactly. No. And then in terms of sport here, Caiman, you're a sporty guy, I can see. You go to the gym a lot. You're a big man. Yeah. Sports out here. What would be sports that you play out here that maybe you didn't play back in Ireland?
So, like, obviously I got off to a terrible start over here in sports with the first Alchemy event. Sprained ligaments in my knee first week here. That was absolute nightmare. Pretty much in physio, once or twice a week. Just, that was 2.5 months. I remember that the next day I tried to go golfing after that and literally could not turn. And I thought I'd done my ACL because I'd chatted my sister who'd recently done it. She had the exact same symptoms. And that was a really bad start. I'm nearly thinking, am I going to fly back home at that stage? Then I saw the medical insurance was covering everything, so I was like, okay, it's okay. So yeah, like obviously, you know, like gym and golf is just massive to me. Like unfortunately now the golf is so expensive out here. Now, of course, the credit cards, you get a couple of free rounds, it's very difficult to book. So that would what I veered to a lot. Eventually I do want to get into the GA. I suppose the injury at the start of the year, or when I got here, kind of scared me off it. So I'll probably still take my time. Like I am fine now, but I'd like to keep building it up because I just would not let it get injured straight away again. And obviously that could easily happen. And of course, obviously I love the odd five-a-side. That's obviously great.
And you forgot one of the main ones, Caiman, I have to say to you. You played your first game of paddle there 2 weeks ago. You and your partner. And then I have to say you did very well last week. I need to get another game booked in with you now for the redemption soon. Exactly.
Like, that's something you can't, like, that's exactly, like, you can't do something like that in Ireland, you know? It's just, you obviously never have the weather for it, but, like, we've had some great paddle games, and it's it's such a holiday sport, you think of it, and now you're like, it's on our front doorstep every weekend. That's where it completely changes your kind of, I suppose, thoughts on the kind of life you can live if you want it.
Exactly, yeah. And I suppose another thing about that is obviously saying paddle back home. It's just an opportunity you couldn't take. In relation to, I suppose when you moved here, you would have had one sense of view of Dubai about the holiday destination. And obviously the reality is maybe it's slightly different. In terms of people back home, what were you, if you were going back to someone in Ireland now after being here for 6 months, what would you tell them directly about the lifestyle here, what to expect, and obviously the do's and don'ts?
Well, I'd be saying make the move because you'll absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, of course, like obviously the big thing I've noticed here is the traffic. Like, it's just, you do not realize how bad it is. Like, it's like you're in there's 6 lanes and you're still in traffic, and it's just like, how in Ireland are we gonna have like 1 lane and half lanes if we're not in traffic? But yeah, like I suppose the do's and don'ts, like obviously do have savings behind you coming. Like, it's expensive starting off, everyone knows that. Like, especially if you get lucky enough to have a job straight away, you're probably not going to get paid for a month after. So you've got a lot to get through. You got your rent, your car, your food, everything going on. Don'ts, I suppose, would be just, again, I suppose around the job, like don't panic if you don't want to get a job. Like, there's great recruiters obviously in Alchemy, but like I wouldn't panic about it. Like, you should come with 3 to 4 months savings and just be like, this is what I want. If it doesn't work out, at the end of the day, as I said earlier, you will get a job in Ireland the next day if you really wanted it. You shouldn't panic about not having a job, because there are loads of jobs. The finance industry here is growing tenfold. It's insane. Like, the way our business is growing is crazy. So we're like all these companies, especially with corporate tax, as I said earlier, on VAT. If you become a specialist in that, everyone's going to want a specialist at that in the future, because it's only becoming big this year because they see corporate tax, they don't realize VAT is there, and now with both of them coming together, all companies are like, I need a specialist.
Exactly. Perfect. So you've been here 6 months. What do you see the future for yourself in Dubai, you know, career-wise, in terms of what you're going to see yourself doing in the next maybe 5 years?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, it's still getting around that UAE, the corporate tax and the VAT, but it's also becoming stronger, the standards. Like, I suppose I want to make sure that in my role, I'm extremely confident so that there is opportunities to progress. So the next step up for me is probably finance manager, financial controller. That's obviously where I'd like to get to. And then eventually you want to be the chief financial controller. Like, obviously that's well down the line, but that's where I'm aiming to go. I suppose outside of work, what I want to do is I'm hoping to go to Bali this summer, maybe for a couple of weeks. Obviously, we know how bad it is in Dubai in the summer. Like, when I got it, my first week when I got here, you had said to me, a voice note a couple of weeks beforehand, how bad it was. And I was like, no way, it's like freezing here in Ireland, so definitely not. And my God, when I got that plane, it was like stepping into a sauna. And I remember walking to the shop one day, it was a 5-minute walk from the apartment to get some food bits, and came back sweating. And I was like, I don't know how anyone does this. So definitely Bali for a couple of weeks. And then again, as I said, a couple of day trips, maybe staycations. My dad's coming over in April, so hopefully we'll get to do an all-inclusive with him somewhere, and we'll definitely get a few rounds of golfing. Like, I know it's very expensive, but I'll treat him to those games to make a bit of money now. So we'll see how it goes.
100%. Where's your next trip? Your next trip is next weekend to
Address Fujairah.
Yeah. Very nice.
So I'm lucky. Like, my sister basically has traveled the whole world, and as I said, she lived here for 8 years, so she's done everything here. So pretty much when I got off the plane again, she sent me a list of everything, so I'm just going through them one by one. Obviously that's, I suppose, the Valentine's treat to my girlfriend, so she had said that was a good one to do. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, great place to go, and looking forward to it.
She's throwing me under the bus. I have nothing planned yet, lad. I'm in trouble. 1 week away, isn't it? I'm in trouble.
Won't be happy.
Emma will not be happy, but sure, look, there's always next year, as I say. So, as you said, obviously, we kind of helped you out in terms of your role searching. You've met everyone in the company, and I'm not sure if you've seen the previous podcast. Lewis was kind of going through our year in Alchemy search. So, how did you find the interaction here with Alchemy and the whole process?
Yeah, like I touched on earlier, like obviously when I first got onto you, I thought this company is obviously different. If they're saying they won't be able to take a call because of their Christmas party, but obviously it's great. Like, I suppose I had reached out to a few recruiters, because I suppose, like many people find, when you mess with recruiters, nobody responds. Like, 1 in 10 at best, and they might take your CV and you'll never hear from them again. That's what my experience was. But in fairness, when I found Connor, I was like, he's Irish, there's a good chance here he might reply. And he had a couple of mutual connections, so I was like, okay, if he sees my profile, he'll think he might know me some bit. So I messaged him, and in fairness, he straight away said, send me a WhatsApp and I can put you in touch with, I suppose, one of our consultants. So I was like, great, there's a great opportunity here. So of course we had that call. So of course my experience with you was great. Then I suppose as the year went on, I kind of saw like Alchemy's, in fairness, social page is great. I genuinely felt like I knew you all, even though I was in a different country and never met any of you in person. But there's so many, you're doing so many different things. And then eventually, I suppose, I had contact with Jeff. He sent me a number of roles. Then I had contact with Lewis. He sent me roles. I'll never forget the day that Lewis did send me the voice note, basically saying that I was the most talked about person in the office. And again, I'd never met any of you in person. So that's when I knew, okay, I'm clearly doing something right. But like, I can't suggest you enough. Anyone who ever gets on to me saying, how do you get a job in Dubai? I say Alchemy at the moment is probably the best, because at least you respond. Most recruiters don't respond, and like I have a very, very strong CV and I'm not getting responses. So like I can see what it's like for other people. It's probably difficult, but absolutely couldn't recommend you enough.
Yeah, and I'm going to apologise for the knee injury that took you out for 3 months. That was not Alchemy's fault, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. But no, I suppose that's the thing about Alchemy. You know, we do try our best as recruiters here. Obviously, we do get inundated with messages all the time on LinkedIn. We do try to reply to every single person. That's kind of what we do here at Alchemy. Everyone, because I suppose even myself and yourself have been on the other side of that table as well, where we've been looking for a job, we've been reaching out to recruiters, you know, and getting a reply or getting a response even after going to an interview can be quite difficult. So I suppose we do try our best to get back to every single person. Yeah.
So Graham, you obviously liked me as a candidate. You got me a job. What would you say to anyone back home that's hoping to get a job? How do they get on your good side?
Everyone's always on my good side. Spell my name correct in the LinkedIn messages is always one. I get called many different names, and so in the office. So I'd say tailor your message to whoever you're sending a message to. You know, some people copy and paste and send it to 100 different recruiters. So I would say tailor your message to each person. As you said, once we speak, you know, get on my WhatsApp. Even if it is Saturday morning, I will get back to you as soon as possible. Just keep on keeping me up to date as well. So I'll keep you up to date with all the roles that are happening with us. As we said, we'll always reach out as soon as we have a right role. We'll be able to reach out to you, but also keep us in the loop about interview processes you're in, up to date with your job search, because sometimes we might message someone, we say we've no roles at the moment, and then we message them maybe a month later and they're saying, oh, I accepted a role elsewhere. So, you know, keep us up to date with your own job search as well. And if you need any advice, you know, keep on reaching out to us. I'd suppose one thing I would say to people who are looking for jobs is kind of stay active as well on LinkedIn. You know, keep on following up with people. It's the best way, because even if they don't reply initially, once the follow-up email, it will come straight to the top of their inbox and they're okay, perfect, I'll get back to you. That's one thing I would say. And yeah, maybe not a late night text, maybe not at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't be, or trying to phone someone at 2 in the morning, you know, when on Dubai time, take into consideration time differences. Because sometimes I get in trouble when my phone goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning and my partner's asleep trying, she's like, who's on the phone? So that's one thing I'd recommend. But yeah, I'd say just keep on messaging, being personable. At the end of the day, as you said, we're quite approachable. We're not very, I suppose, strict or very not approachable people. We will be very open and honest with all of our information that we give about roles, etc. So yeah, I suppose that's probably the best thing to do.
And if they take you out for a drink, is that bonus points?
Oh, take us out for a drink now then, that is definitely bonus points. Caiman, that's what Caiman promised me, a pint of Guinness when he arrived in Dubai, so that definitely gave him a few brownie points. But so I suppose one thing we like to do in this podcast is kind of a quick fire question round. So I'm just going to ask you random questions and let's see what you come back with, okay? Dubai or Ireland?
Dubai.
Okay. Minstrels or Maltesers?
Minstrels.
Okay. Ice pop or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Football or rugby?
Football.
Mm-hmm. Golf or paddle?
Golf. Still strong to golf.
Netflix movie or Netflix TV show?
Netflix movie.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'll give you fair enough on that. I know I'd be a paddle man myself instead of football, but what was your dream job as a kid? Were you always dreamed to be an accountant?
No, originally I did dream to be a professional golfer. A lot of people, I genuinely did. Like, I suppose honestly, my summers when I was younger, you can ask anyone, like, first day we got off school, I was there. I lived far outside Clarny, so I lived in the countryside, so my lift into the golf club and back was 9 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the evening. So I was just dropped there all day. That could be playing playing holes, practicing. So that was my summer generally all the time, constantly playing golf. And I actually was contemplating a year out, I suppose, for after leaving cert to go, I suppose, try and go pro, just purely settle through it. But in the end, I just didn't. I said I'd go college, get it done. I suppose in actual career terms, I had physiotherapy in mind. It was always something I thought about. I'm big into sports. I kind of like that side of things. But again, I suppose obviously the leaving cert points are very high. Like, and I just kind of, I was really good at maths in school. Like, I always did very good at maths, and I suppose I didn't even do accounting for leaving cert, so that's what surprised a lot of people. Like, I didn't do any accounting. And it wasn't until I did commerce in college, and it wasn't until second year until you had to choose a major, and I chose accounting. And it's just snowballed from there. It's just been carrying on.
Fair enough. Yeah. So you're the Tiger Woods of accounting.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay, ideal. Favorite golfer?
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods, yeah. Not Rory.
No, Tiger all day.
Okay, and I suppose one thing that's very topical, I suppose, in the golf thing at the moment is live golf.
Yeah.
Full opinion.
Yeah, like, I know everyone gives out about it, but at the end of the day, if you were offered 400 million to go play golf maybe 10 times a year, I don't think you're turning it down. And then there's talks of the mergers going on. I know John Ram obviously left there earlier. Like, I would be certain that he had been involved in knowing what's going to happen with that merger, and most likely it's going to go ahead. So he was probably told, you could sign for us, play for a year, get your money, and then we'll merge again. So I can't complain to any of them, of course, but like, at the end of the day, it's their choice.
Could have been you, Caiman.
Could have been me, but I'm stuck here on a podcast with you, so
no, perfect. I just want to say thanks a million for coming on the podcast.
Delighted to be here,
pleasure.
honestly. As we were saying earlier, from one text message in December to sitting on a podcast with you now, anything can happen. In
the sun, exactly. Away from the sheep in Killarney.
Yeah, exactly.
And just thank you for coming on, Caiman. I know you do love the gym, so we stuffed this with a few veg for you.
You're
fruit
good.
And veg.
Thank you very much.
No bother.
The Alchemy plug and all.
Come on. So thank you for listening for this podcast. We hope that you found it insightful, and make sure to tune into the next episode.